Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to another full moon episode with Mary Dusina, our favorite seer and astrologer, and Scorpio extraordinaire. She's brought her intuition, her astrological skills, and of course her poetry and prose that she always gives us when she's letting us know the details, the lowdown of what we can expect for the full moon. Mary, it's so good to have you back, dear, even though I will say, as we were just discussing, and I know the audience knows, I did cry on the last full moon, but we know this full moon is going to be a lot different.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, as we had talked about. Hello, audience. Hello, beautiful, beautiful souls that are joining us for Divine Alignment. I'm proud of you. I remembered you and I had mentioned that, because we're teaching our audience each time as we go along, because we love that. That's our heart, is that when we had this Scorpio, the Wesak, the Buddha moon, the scorpionic energy of what needs to ultimately transform or transmute, but what factors in our life emotionally, it was Scorpio, so it's water sign, so it has to do with our feelings. So we're supposed to be purging through our feelings, but that full moon was tied back to 6 months prior, which we briefly mentioned because there was so much ground to cover. That full moon tracked back 6 months prior to the Scorpio full moon back in the October-November period when we had the full moon in Taurus. And so it was a 6-month graduation test, final exam, if you will, and then graduation for where we needed, sometimes surprising to our own selves, where we needed to purge how a psychological dynamic, a soul dynamic had been kind of on automatic pilot. And then when we had that Scorpio eclipse, that bloomed out that next 87 to 90 days that we spoke about doesn't complete until the full moon in early August of 2023. We are really just like kids in school right now. Kids are graduating different grade levels, and some are graduating college. Some, they have these little graduations for kindergarten and nursery school and 8th grade and la, 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 la. So this cycle is, when you think about the sun in Gemini, it's about lessons learned, lessons over. Oh, goody, we get a summer break in this country away from day-to-day intensity of schooling, which also involves our societal dynamics, the playmates that kick us to the curb, the playmates that snob us, the mean girls, the mean boys. We go through all of that and all the grade levels that we go through when we have any kind of private or public schooling. So there's always that social, what we're learning personally, how we're leveling up personally versus the impact of words the teacher or the professor's teaching us, things that we're writing down, things that we're storing, on a hard drive, or we're saving in a document, because the technology has brought us more into electronic instead of just writing or saying. But we still, instead of texting, Gemini and Sagittarius is also reminding us to go back to the power of voice, and Jupiter and Taurus is reminding us that our really big medicine right now. People always think about nature, Mother Nature with Taurus, but I'm finding, Nicole and sweet audience, that the power of music, singing and riding in that car and out in that camper and by the campfire, and what you put on your cell phone when you're going to multitask and make your salad or go to sleep or sit outside under the stars, the music venue, like when you're doing your Spotify list or your Apple song list and you're making up your little social technical libraries, and you just take a drive. You just take a drive, or you just, have the earbuds in, or whatever you're going to do in a safe situation, please. Earbuds only in a safe situation, please. And then you put the music on. Let me tell you, you don't need the wine or the liqueur or the altering substance at all, prescription or recreational. When the music, when the music really hits your soul, you're going on a magic carpet ride, and your chakras are going to dance and clap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this Sagittarius full moon is, for everyone out there in the audience, it is so much lighter. It is so much lighter than our last full moon in Scorpio, which was, of course, an eclipse. And of course, we can't ever expect a Scorpio full moon to not bring, the intense energy. So that's all good. But, from what my perspective and what I see with this particular full moon, Mary, is that one, it's happening at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, and that is just 1 degree off of the great attractor. And I love this. And this is big because I've done a lot of studying on the great attractor because I have my Neptune very close to it. It's on the 15 degrees. So for anyone out there, the great attractor is, from astrological perspectives, it's just kind of known as the key holder to the mysteries of the universe. And I feel like this particular full moon, our intuition is going to be on like Donkey Kong. Like, this is a majorly intuitive full moon. Whatever is going to be revealed to you, whatever is going to be illuminated, pay attention to your intuition. And like Mary was just saying, with Jupiter, we're just coming off that Jupiter conjunction with the North Node. And so I feel like that energy is kind of flavoring this, especially with Jupiter being the ruler of this full moon, by helping people kind of take a really deeply spiritual kind of understanding or awareness or bigger picture of where they're going, where they're heading in their destiny, where their soul's trying to guide them next. And what I really love about this particular full moon is the grand trine between Chiron and Aries and Black Moon Lilith and Leo. So I feel like you guys are going to be super invigorated to really kind of take a stand, go after what you need to, and you're going to use you're going to use wisdom from your own healing to finally let go, to be ready to be done with some kind of wound that's held you back from this, whatever this revelation is going to be, or illumination that you're receiving on what's ahead of you. Because Sagittarius to me is always about looking beyond the horizon. What is it that you can't see yet? So you need to have faith. And there's something about a huge surge of faith coming in with this full moon, especially with it being so close to the great attractor and being so highly intuitive, that you're being asked to really follow your intuition on something that you're going to need a lot of faith to go through. But deep down, you're going to feel like this is the right move. And it's a move that you're making from a very healed position that really kind of propels you forward and taking that stand and moving on in a direction that you're really meant for. I know you've got such a deeper perspective on this, Mary, but like, how do you feel about some of those energies coming through with this full moon?
Like you, I'm in total agreement that this is the starry dynamics and the frequencies of this particular third ascended master's full moon. We started with, when it's Easter Passover, the full moon in Libra annually is the moon of forgiving and resurrecting, the Passover, the Easter type of thing. It's always, even though the dates change, it's always when the moon is full in the sign of, is this a win-win? Is this a balance? I'm going to give. Am I taking too much? Am I giving too much? So the whole Libra dynamic to get in alignment and the equilibrium, both emotionally and mentally, starts with that ascended moon of the Christos, of the Christed resurrected light. Then we come to the one we were just speaking about, what's known as WES as in spirit, WESAK, Wesak, or some Hindu and Buddhist cultures spell it with a V as in victory or Valentine, VES as in spirit, AK Visak or Wesak. This is known as the Buddhic master moon, to where in the Scorpio-Taurus axis, in that second ascended master's full moon annually each year, we are learning to let go of what we are too Taurus, attached to, and the discovery of healthier options for our passionate pursuits. That's the Scorpio dynamic, because Scorpio is always about something's got to give. You've got to let it go. You've got to loosen your grasp. It owns you. It's possessing you. You're not in control of yourself unless ABC happens. So therefore, that passion for that person, that possession that's stressing you out, it's owning you. You're not its owner. It's compromising your peace of mind. It's compromising your ability. Some people will say, I lost my sleep. I'm so stressed over that. I lost my sleep. I recently had in May, I recently had a Gemini acquaintance that woke up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, clutching their chest, person not that old, clutching their chest to their partner going, oh my God, my heart's just racing. It feels like it's going to jump out of my chest. So the partner got up, knew some medical acumen, and said, check your blood pressure, blah, 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 settled down, didn't go to the emergency room, blah, 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 check it out. Okay. Next couple of days, decided they were going to go because they had a close personal friend they went to school with that was a specialist. And the specialist looked at them and said, this is stress. Your EKG is fine. Your heart numbers are fine. What is driving you to the edge? Because it's a friend, so they could talk boldly. What is driving you so to the edge that you're keeping bottled up inside of you? And the battlefield is now your mind. You can't shut the thoughts off. You're going all over the place, with this, and the battlefield, the big battlefield spiritually, as far as Gemini is concerned, this person was a Gemini with a Sag rising, so it fits. This battlefield is, if you want to look at it as dark sources or anti-light or evil versus the light, or how you're setting your intentions, the real battlefield as far as a spiritual warfare is always, when we're incarnated, going to involve the battlefield of the mind, the thoughts, and if the thoughts and the mind gets infected by the parameters of fear of loss, fear of I'm not enough, or they're addicted to anything that can take them away from that fear because they can't shut their mind off. Okay, so if your mind gets infected, then your willpower and your choice factors get affected. They get affected. So Gemini and Sagittarius, when we look at that axis, when we look at the natural third sign of the Western zodiac, Gemini, and its mercurial governor, and then we look at Sagittarius, as Nicole mentioned, with its Jupiterian in Greek mythology, Zeus, the great Olympian Titan god of Zeus. Zeus, Jupiter, is about, this is what could bring you providence. This is what can get you need to be. Why can't you choose to, if you're going to let your mind go crazy, why don't you keep going monkey mind on optimistic things or creative potentialities and strategies? So Jupiter and Sagittarius being a ninth sign, higher mind, metaphysics, higher love. Shaka Khan did a great song called Bring Me a Higher Love. Steve Winwood joined her on it. So what's happening is that the Sagittarius arrow is saying, you're too earthbound, you're too in your head, pull the bow back, let the creative impetus take place, and go on a pursuit, go on an adventure, explore in meditation and ceremony, explore where that arrow can show you that it's a bullseye, and that is your passionate pursuit. That is your zone of not only leveling yourself up, but everybody orbiting around you is blessed because you unlocked yourself and you decided, I am not going to be haunted of all the energies available to me out there in this incarnation as I'm walking along on earth. What in me is allowing myself to be pestered and poked and haunted in my mind over this when none of it has come to its answer yet. And yet I know spiritually, whether you're Buddhist or you're Sufi or you're Christian or whatever it is, or you're agnostic, the mind is the magnet. And so Sagittarius rising now is our full moon. The arrow is pulled back and the bow, we are the archers. So spirit is kissing us and whispering in our upper chakras and saying, okay, we're going to whisper to you. There's a new pursuit available. There's some adventures and some new explorations. Just tell us, your beloved higher self, the highest versions of you. Just tell us what would be fascinating and interesting and healthy for you to be able to be happy with your inner child and your earth self, and also feel like that it's serving that trilogy that you also would be interested in spiritually. It doesn't always have to be something that we need to work on to get over. There's plenty of that. Mm-hmm. This full moon is about what would be uplifting and fun and creative, and can you get your comedic mojo back? You know, what would be just fun? Let your hair down and just have fun, and grant that to your own self.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big, important part of this whole full moon is that, you know, there's, with everything that's been going on, because the energies have been really heavy and just nonstop. Like, it just feels like we're getting hit with one thing after the other. No break, no time to come up for air. And I think with this particular full moon, because it is in Sagittarius, which is also known as a very lighthearted, want to have a good time kind of a sign, is like, where have you been missing that in your life? Like, where do you need to bring that back in? And there is a sense of, you know, taking some action to really, I want to say, birth that back into your, more into your day to day, so to speak, as opposed to just letting it be this, I don't know, 2 weeks of vacation a year or whatever it is. Like you said, with your friend who's been so stressed, it's like, you're taking life too seriously. It's time to lighten up. But
and for what? Yeah, and for what? The very thing that was stressing, we're just using this person as an example because it easily, as all of us can be, given on our choice and our direction of our willpower. Why? If you really bloom it out logically, the very thing that you just could literally drive yourself crazy over because humans love to be in control and you don't know the final answer, or you want to control it with your human self instead of your divine plugins to as above, so below. The very thing that was stressing that person out, if it killed them, if they stressed out and they just left, it didn't mean a damn to worry about that so much on earth because it literally popped them out of their body. And because we've had so many, choice word, arrows of fear, porn, and anxiety thrown at us by the powers that be, the oligarchy, let's keep them all running in fear, from health things to financial things to food supply and all that, with all this North Node in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus and this stellium that we've had in Taurus. Let's really get them afraid if they can afford this and if they can afford that. And let's get them all wound up and anxious about, oh my gosh, my day-to-day needs, my rent, my mortgage, my car, my food. It's so much that I don't even think I'll do any kind of vacation this year, not even maybe a weekend. Okay, well, let's take that to a higher level spiritually. Maybe, just maybe, it's a good spiritual practice if we're not too attached to the outcome, Buddhism, Hinduism, if we can say to ourselves, well, let me look at the things I already do have, and let me look at the possessions I already do have governorship with temporarily. It's an earth life, folks. Your soul isn't attached to the earth life. Walking through, keep reminding you of that. This is an air sign and a fire sign. Let me look at my atmosphere, my own atmosphere. Let me look at the air that I wear, the air that surrounds me, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, the air signs. It's like, how creative can I get in my budget or within my lack of hours away from work or whatever it is? How can I get out of my anxiety, and how can I just create a fun moment that doesn't have to be away from the very homestead, the very portal of energy that I work for, that I live at, that I sleep at, that I drink my wine at? Why can't I just do something that really puts my gratitude measure higher, that maybe all this is happening, that it's not a forced lockdown, but they're trying to take away the resources, the flow of the resources. That's been the whole Taurus thing, my tangible resource, and they're trying to scare me about gold backed or digital or this or that, and soon you won't have the control of your money anyway because we're going to watch everything. You know, that whole thing, like, God, get off my back. So there's a part of us that's like, some people are afraid of what's coming in 2024 with the big eclipse in April. You know, they're worried about, you know, how much the Pluto retrograding back in Capricorn and the powers that be trying to get more control over we the people, which is the Aquarian factor. And you know what? They've already lost. They're already losing, and they've already lost, because our sovereignty is when we keep our eyes open to the majesty of our soul. We are soul stars. We are made of the same components of stars. We are illuminating, luminescent, biochemical, dynamic, multi-frequency, heavenly creatures that are currently operating inside this Mother Earth temple body. So if we stress ourselves out, we stress our gifted physical temple body, our biological body, and whatever we've done to stress that, wherever we're storing stress, or we've had illness or fractures or breaks or issues, medically and health-wise, I feel like this full moon, the third of the Ascended Masters full moons in Sagittarius, that as legend goes, the Buddha and the Christed consciousness and every ascended saint and master orbits and in circles like a halo all around the jewel, the blue-green jewel of our Gaia, of our Mother Earth, and to those who are willing to open their frequencies to receive. The Christ and the Buddha join, so all those forces, all the goodness of Buddhism and Christianity, and then every ascended master, every avatar and saint comes at this once a year. Sagittarius, the frequencies, the electricity, the arrows coming forth from the divine heavenly host, the almighty I am forces, and that army that in ancient Hebrew is said with the chant, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sabaoth, holy, holy, holy is the Almighty. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was, who is, and who shall ever be. That's in Hebrew, the Kadosh. And what it does is it rebukes, and it clears, and it cleanses any uninvited energies, any deleterious, vampirical energies that are attempting to thwart or to stall or to beguile or to bewitch or to or let you crumple up like a piece of paper and just say, I can't do this anymore. I don't know why this keeps happening to me. God, why me, God? Why me, God? So when you tune in to this particular full moon, this June 3rd into June 4th full moon, it's the final full moon before the longest day of light in the Northern Hemisphere, the summer solstice. And so what's happening is we're starting to see the shift now in late May, early June into Venus and Leo, being Venus and Mars in Leo. Mars opens the month of June in Leo. And so Venus and Mars are going to be aligning in the same zodiac sign of Leo. Venus arrives there June 5th. And so what we're having with Mercury on June 11th, 10th, 11th, and depending on where you live, going into an air sign, we're shifting into Yang. We're shifting into masculine. We went from this feminine Scorpio and the feminine Taurus, and we're wrapping all this up, and we get a real liberation on June 6th to the 9th when we have a T-square. And we're going to have a T-square where it's involving the fixed signs with Venus and Mars in Leo. There's the fire. There's the great central sun. When we talk about the great attractor of the galactic alignment, now we have the most powerful zodiac sign that the sun lights up, and that's Leo. The sun, our great star, lights up the Leo factors in all of our charts. Where we have Leo in our personal birth, earth birth chart, in our star map, where we have Leo, planets or houses, especially the zone, the house, is where the great sun that sustains life on our Mother Earth, where it illuminates and lights us up, and where we can dip into and get courage, get encouraged, and we can fortify ourselves with the never-ending urn of light. So the Leo factors that are coming into this early part of June, and when we get that T-square, we're going to be liberated once again from the lessons that we needed to look at from last August. So we're going to have this T-square, and it's going to involve the Venus and Mars and Leo. So where's our mojo? Where's our good juju? What do we summon up immediately psychologically at the psyche soul level for when I need to rev my engines up, my engines of kindness, my engines of optimism, my engines of pay it forward? Leo is always about, if things are going wonky for you and you don't like how things are wrong around you, go do a kindness for someone else. You shift the energy the moment you become a magic wand that tithes, and a magic wand that encourages, and a magic wand that has the boldness and the courage and the creativity to just do something nice for someone else. It's going to involve Jupiter and Taurus, and it's going to involve right before retrograde Pluto flips back into Capricorn. It's also going to pull that T-square into Pluto. So I think the most dynamic time of June. It's the early part of June, and it's like centering around the 5th through the 9th of June. The 5th through the 9th of June. I feel like it doesn't have to be a stressful, eye-opening time. I feel like that finally there's the dot over the I and the T's get crossed and the contractual, legal, the missing pieces of the puzzle come together and we get that aha. So that's the way it is, and that's how to solve that. So I'm seeing that as the most dynamic piece, mystically, astrologically, of what's the real bigger picture of June of 2023, because each June is different. Planets orbit and they change signs and move around. And then there's that whole energetic, spiritual, metaphysical, soul sovereignty aspect of our path of learning and leveling up and saying, I'm so much more than my astrology chart. I'm so much more than my numerology. I'm so much more than just what's going on in the world and my country and cultures and all that. It's about, please never forget that you are a very powerful, breathing, living star code. And you, if you respect the dynamics and the tools and the discernment of your soul and your heart in alignment, there's no AI, there's no chat, there's no hologram, there's no Twitter, there's no leash romantically, there's no abuse that can take place, because you're listening to the eyes and the wisdom of your soul, and your heart's going, yes, 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 have faith. So that's the higher love and the ninth house of what Sagittarius is urging for us to have. And as Nicole and I were just getting together to be in an energy concert with each other, I said, every sign, as we always say, has a plus or minus. And I said the minus, or if we, as God-gifted free will agents, if we choose to be selfish, self-entitled, manipulative, and get into what I call, and I'm saying capital I, even though it's going to sound like EYE, if we get all bound up with the I show, that it's all about me, I want, it's all about you, and until you get all your stuff met, you don't really give a damn about the people that are around you. You conveniently forget, you don't show up, you don't text back, whatever. You know that you're making excuses, and you know that you're being avoidant. So if you're involved in the I don't like it yet, it's the I show, and until I want to, and until it's how I want it, that's the negative side of the Gemini dynamic. And so some of the negative things I've heard over the last 35 years from my clients about being intimate with the Gemini, being a Gemini, getting called on the carpet for their manipulative techniques, is Gemini can be known as the silver-tongued devil.
Yes.
And it becomes a dynamic of, are you going to exploit and manipulate someone, or are you going to be in that dynamic with that friend or that lover or that job to where you're exploring and you're expanding? Sagittarius is Jupiter, expanding, exploring, the fun of the adventure, the fun of the pilgrimage. But the Gemini negativity can be Mercury, and Mercury is the magician card to me. I'm not saying that's that for everybody, but to me, I see when you look at the tarot and you look at the magician can be a whole host of things because he has all four suits on his table of alchemy. But alchemy in and of itself, with Mercury ruling the sign of Gemini and Virgo, Mercury and the medical caduceus is about how you're going to transform this. How are you going to be able to find your own niche, your own unique way to work with the tools of creativity, objectivity, instead of just always being subjective. Humans are subjective. Water and earth sign energy dances immediately throw us into being subjective. How do I feel about that? How did that hit me? What do I do? I got to go process that. I need a break. I need to sleep. I need a joint. I need some wine. This is spinning, it's that old song, you spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record player, right round. So you're in that spin zone and you're circling, and sometimes it's fun. But other times when it starts to get chaotic, you get a little dizzy. And if you get dizzy in your soul, then the magician can throw you, it can become the trickster. It can be the Heyoka and in Southwest. And the Heyoka, or the court jester, or the trickster, coyote medicine. On the medicine wheel can make it look like fun, but you're actually walking into a trap.
Yes, and that is one of the pitfalls. And I mean, my father is a Gemini. I've never dated
Okay.
an actual Gemini, but you know, and I can see how, like, you know, this is not a dig on Geminis. It's just, listen, we all have
Nope.
our polarities. Like, as a Taurus, I can be extremely stubborn and very bullheaded about some things. But you know, from my father's perspective, you know, I could see how, oh, that tongue can get really sharp. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, and you know, and like you said, can become almost like your own worst enemy when it comes to manifesting things,
If
because
we let someone else's words be
yes,
poison darts, then we have given
yes,
them our power.
yes, yeah.
So
So,
our lesson, Nicole, our lesson with the Gemini magician card, the power of the written word, the power of the spoken word. It says all over in the Bible that the most unruly member is the tongue, and that we can either curse ourselves or get ourselves involved in curses by the harsh words or the viper words, or you know,
well,
our
here's, yeah,
words cast magic.
here's the thing too. The Bible also says there was, like, you know, that there was the word of God and the world was created. So sound is the beginning of all origins, or I should say it's the origins of all creation. So when we're talking about the magician card and we're talking about creation and knowing, like, what words are you using, what sounds, you know, when you talk about the frequency of different tones and all of that, like,
Yep.
what are you, because you talked about music earlier, and it's like, what are you actually using or allowing yourself to be used in a way that's actually
Or be
not
played
creating what you
like
want?
like a musical instrument. Are you
Yes.
allowing yourself to be played? You know,
Yes.
there's times when we're with that fun person that we want to go out and have the spirit of play. There's an essence, there's an energy, there's a spirit to where we say, you know, when I'm with him or when I'm with her, that it's just light-hearted. Look at the words you use. I just feel it's fun, it's easy. And yes, I've still got my same problems and issues in life, but when I'm with him, when I'm with her, just the energy is lifted, and I'm decompressing, and it's just like I can actually enjoy this day that's never been lived before today, and it can be your masterpiece, or you can put yourself into a depressive, you know, dump, you know. So it's got to do with how words, things we say to ourselves, self-talk, affirmations, intentions, and it takes our will, it takes the power of our willpower to be able to break some of our thinking patterns and our psychological preset patterns of behavior that we got from our parents. You mentioned your dad, from our parent, from the theater of our early childhood, because we memorized that. And no matter how much of a circus, no matter how crazy it was, however not normal it was, that was our normal. If it was chaotic and alcoholic and disruptive and abusive in any aspect of the word, when we came onto the planet as brilliant soul stars inhabiting a body, doing an incarnation, that past background, that home life, that was what we memorized. That's what we learned to function around and within. So part of Gemini can be the higher aspects of psychology too. It can be the part of us to where we have epiphanies, you know, the energetic epiphanies, to where we go, those aha moments. And what I've always loved a term when I was in psychological training, when I those people, those instances and those nanoseconds where someone crosses our path and there's such an impact moment of, whoa. We say things like, I never looked at it that way before. Wow. You know, so we get unlocked, we get an instant leashes off, snap, snap, instant keys. And this is why I called it the immortal effect, because even though I may not ever see that person again that I had that seminar with, or I was studying with Dr. Brian Weiss, or Greg Braden, or these different Wayne Dyer, these different people that are like they designed these oracle decks, they're psychological pioneers, they're past life experts, you know, and all of a sudden you just, it's like that perspective hits you. Sometimes this, for me, a lot of times that hits me in ceremony too. But when you're in a social public setting and you get one of those epiphanies and you look and that person looks at you and there's an eye smile, like an EYE smile, And I call it an immortal effect because although I may not ever be around that teacher or that person or that particular ceremony or that lover again, I have been forever altered, changed, and transformed because of that connection, that moment. Gemini is about connections too. And I am forever changed in a good way, in a liberated way. That's Sagittarius too. I've been liberated from what used to hold me back, hold me down, make me question myself. So that person, that book you read, that teaching, that adventure you went on, you may never connect with that author or that person or that life coach again, but because of that and them, you have been liberated for the rest of this incarnation. And that, my friend, is wealthy. That, my friend, is a rich, treasure, jeweled moment of this lifetime.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And when you look at the day that the full moon's happening on, and happy birthday, continued birthdays, Geminis, but this year in 2023, it's exact in most time zones in the Northern Hemisphere, sometime on June 3rd. And so the sun is in Gemini, and the full moon is in its polarity sign, its opposite sign, its balance sign of Sagittarius. And the fire and the air signs, just to teach you, beloved audience, those are the yang. Those are electrical. So it's lightning and enlightenment coming into your mind and out of your eyes and your mouth and your words, and how words are dancing you, how energies are beginning to come into you, and you have this fresh perspective like, ow, I don't like the way that feels when I talk that way and think that way, and I don't like the way that feels when they give me the silent treatment or they don't want to communicate. I can give somebody a reprieve moment, but ow, I don't like me like that, and I don't like that like that. So then shift it, because this particular degree, when you get into the fixed star of R-I-G as in good, R-I-G-E-L, Rigel or Rigel, or however you want to say it, it's a fixed star, and it's located on the left foot of the constellation of Orion. And so what happens with it is Rigel confers our ability to arise and to rise up quickly. So there's that quicksilver energy again of Mercury. And here comes the Sagittarian. You're not going to leash me. You're not going to bridle me. You're not going to put a saddle on my back all the time just because I love you. So here comes that strong willpower. So there's the dance, how you're deciding, how you're thinking, how it's motivating or draining you. That's the Sag Gemini ambition and the frequencies and the sound motivations. There's also sound of how you talk to yourself and what you decree and declare. There's an energy of where Gemini and Sagittarius come into alignment. I declare this. I now have decided this. This is what I'm going to do. I will not, or I will do this. So it's the will and the mind, and we've got them in alignment. Then we affirm and we declare. It's not an intention of something that we hope. We've made a choice. We're making a choice. And so consequences come forth as plus or minuses by the choices that we make. So choice equals and births. Choice, our choices, birth, our consequences. So there's a love of action, that's Sagittarius, an adventure. The whole primary star influence blends in with this. Our ability to take the scientific, logical, air signs, aspects of our mind and to be inventive and to be and blend that. It's like you're putting your stuff together in your smoothie for a blender. So this star, this Orion star of Rigel, is giving us courageous and bold options, and we're getting a little bit of an overarching, broader outlook to see, like we talked about with Scorpio and Taurus 6 months ago. This is 6 months ahead. So when we get to late November, December of 2023, here comes the match, just in reverse. The sun will be in Sagittarius, so our solar experience, our life here in the Earth walk, the sun will be in Sagittarius, and the full moon will rise in Gemini. So another deeper graduation point is going to come when we have that Gemini full moon over November 27th of this year. So this very full moon, if you want to start to kind of make fun little notes in your journals of like this full moon of June 3rd, and Orion is known as the Great Hunter in the constellations, if you study the legends and myths of constellations. So the hunter's foot is moving forward. And so we're in search of.
I
We're
like
in
that.
search of. There's been
Yeah.
YouTube and TV shows called In Search of. And so this is hide and seek in a sense, but we're not going to hide from ourselves anymore, in that we're going to summon our willpower and we're going to get out there and say, what do I need to do so this isn't a hidden burden, or that hidden factor doesn't cause me to drain myself or do something addictive, or I get bored too easily. And I'm always seeking to, you've heard people say, oh, I'm better busy, because they don't really want to take the time to meditate and think. And we call them overachievers, or we say it's ADD, or we say they're attention deficit, but what is it that's causing them not to achieve both ends of their creativity, to be able to be good, busy, and also to be able to decompress and say, no, my head doesn't dominate me in crazy, self-destructive ways psychologically just because I now have some time on my hands. I don't have to just clean the house. I don't have to clean out the car. I don't have to go wax the car. I don't always have to be busy just because I'm not doing my work projects and what puts butter on my bread financially. What about me is eclipsing and getting in my own way to have peace of mind and serenity in my soul and harmony in my heart.
And I love all that because it really goes so beautifully. It's such complementary energy to this full moon, in the sense that, with Jupiter, the ruler, that is the wheel of fortune in the
absolutely.
in the deck.
Sorry.
And so I feel like, there are big changes on the horizon that you've got to prepare for. And
They're
it's
liberating.
really, and it's really kind of, this full moon is kind of prepping you to kind of get a bigger picture. Can you see the bigger picture and see the direction that you're being guided to take? What changes are you ready to make and take? And do you really understand from that bigger picture point of view, what you're ready to encounter, what you're ready to move towards? And it does feel, like you said, a liberation of sorts. And so
absolutely.
This is a beautiful full moon in many ways. I think it's very inspiring. And I think it's very illuminating in a sense of, from a very deep spiritual way, but also this is about learning the big lessons. This is about taking the wisdom from everything that you've been going through and now kind of being ready to say, okay, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for the next big adventure.
And why not? And why not? And why not? Especially if you can look back and say, we tend to grumble emotionally, in our mind too. It's just like, well, so-and-so did this and this hasn't happened yet. And then we tend to do this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, so while you're waiting anyway, why, while don't let yourself be so bound up in a sense that you can't just embrace the fact that there's some, the Gemini, Sagittarius, those are the race car signs. When you think about Gemini and it's the winged messenger, it's Mercury. Mercury in Greek and Roman mythology, in Hermes, Mercury was the wings on the boots and the wings on the helmet. And Mercury is like gotta take a message from Jupiter, aka Zeus. He's got to go, the head guy, he's got to go tell Mars, well, here's your battle plan strategy, and, check in with Venus and enjoy watching her have a nice time in the lake, and then go over. I mean, Mercury was the messenger, and go find out about how much time we have from Saturn Chronos. And so there's all this kind of stuff. Uranus, it's like watch out for the lightning bolts. Hey, it's just Mercury. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just the messenger. And then you have Zeus Jupiter is literally connecting with and having a sky conversation with the messenger. So Zeus, Jupiter, is saying, hey, Mercury, here's the message. We need more kindness. Kindness is a superpower, and we need people to kind of dip in to their comedic creativity. When's the last time you went to a comedy club? When's the last time you went and enjoyed a comedian on YouTube or Instagram? Go watch a short reel of something. Go look at the archives of, the old archive shows or YouTube things of Saturday Night Live or South Park or whatever it was that can just make you belly laugh type of a thing, or that old sitcom that you watched when people were more into TV. What just really makes you just laugh? And it can be inane and it can be simple and it doesn't have to be, pristinely logic or anything. Just what brings you belly laughter, and it might be that you watch a few of those Instagram reels or YouTube comedians and say, you know what? God bless the comedians. I'm going to look in my little local town and support my local business. It's going to have some amateur comedians coming up, and I'm going to go. There's a podcaster that most of us have listened to named Owen Hunt, and he does all kind of metaphysical stuff, and he appears in comedy clubs. I love that. He appears in comedy clubs in Athens, Georgia, and Dahlonega, Georgia, and all around that North Georgia area. And he does, like the river rafting, Nicole, when people get in, the tourist goes, they need to have that guide, when you get in those class 4, class 5, going over the rocks, in the Appalachian Mountains here, so he does that. So he's as mystical as any of us want to be, but he is in the right season. He's in the water, going over the earth element of the rocks, and he's doing comedy. But to him, even though he's doing all that kind of stuff and doing a metaphysical podcast and blah, 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 he loves the comedy clubs, and he's moving more into being an MC and being a comedian himself. And I'm like, that made me think about Gemini Sag.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing too, even when we talk about like how this is kind of let's lighten up a little bit, kind of a full moon, it's like the spiritual community needs to lighten up. They need some humor, it's just feels like it's so heavy, and it's all about like, listen, you and I are both like, do the work, do your shadow work, do all that stuff. But also like, don't forget to love life. Don't forget to live. Don't forget to laugh at yourself. Like, it just feels like everything gets a little too serious sometimes in this community. And, we can't take ourselves that seriously.
Well, Gemini is also about how you can actually, with your words, how you sing, how you dance. I mean, Gemini can also be about planning, what type of Sagittarius celebration or fun that you want to have. If you got the right group of people, you don't have to have a lot of money to sit on the beach or on a mountain trail and just have a good time. A campfire, doing s'mores. I mean, it's going to be as memorable of a moment as when you got on a jet plane to go somewhere, because the energy atmosphere was lighthearted and invigorating, and nobody had to overwork, and nobody was overly committed. And it was just about, let's just go meet up and have dinner. I have a thing where I do tribal dinners, and those people in my life that I've decided are more than acquaintances, and, that they bring a lot to the table. I bring a lot to the table, but one of them might be a doctor, and one of them might be a pet groomer, and one might be this, but their energetic signature is we all bounce really good energy off of each other. So we don't let 3 months go by that we don't plan to meet somewhere and break bread, have lunch or dinner or whatever, and just get that real dynamic conversation going, because nobody's going to be a stage hog, and everybody, checks in with everybody. We all encourage each other, and it's like nobody's paying anybody money. We're all buying our own lunch, but it's those people in our life that we value, because those are those chess pieces that came to life in the game of life that are inspiring. It's like when Nicole and I can talk, we inspire each other. She doesn't drain me, I don't drain her. We bring, we want to bring more light to the table for other people with whatever it is we're learning and have learned. So these are the people that are like plugging in the light in your life. And in all of our lives, through our discernment, we begin to not just expect from them or to let them drain us with their expectations, but there's people in your life that you'll start to get your groove. And those people, they may have problems. They may have issues. They may be going through divorces. They may have a health challenge, but they are solid enough that, there might be some quiet moments where we just do deep listening with them, and the tribal brothers and the tribal sisters show up just to let them have their soft moments and create a safe space for them, and we might just sit at their house and let them vent. Or it can just be when none of us have any big, great life challenges, because how arrogant of us to think that we incarnated on this earth life and everything was just going to be rainbows and kiss my ass and I always get it my way. No, this is a school, and we are developing our soul powers. And it also isn't just about, like Nicole said, that we have to do hard work all the time. This is graduation season celestially. And so Pluto's retrograde, and Saturn's going to turn retrograde. Yes. Saturn's going to turn around and go retrograde. So, we've got some Saturn retrogrades at mid-month, and we, on Father's Day, we've got the new moon at 26 Gemini on Father's Day. So it has a lot to do with how can I get creative? Let's not put that just on other people. How can I get creative and without expectation say, oh, by the way, here's what I do with my friend. I'm going to go da 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 to have dinner. I'm going to go blah 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 to go to that comedy club. If you guys want to meet up there, now am I responsible for picking their ass up? No. So can't disappoint me there. And if they show up, okay. If they don't, I'm at the comedy club and I'm not responsible for anything. And I'm going to sit there or at the music concert or whatever it is. And see, I trained myself to be able to be that female that can go eat alone if I need to. And what's amazing? Oh, how do you go out and eat alone? I don't like eating lunch alone. Let me tell you something. When I go out and eat alone, I'm not alone. The server's talking to me. People are talking to me. I'm alone. So they want to engage me. And it's not because they know who I am. It's just strangers come in and, oh, your hair, or and it just starts because I'm allowing great spirit. I'm allowing my trust of who's supposed to show up and how it's supposed to show up. Like I've entered into a live tarot theater and I'm going in like maybe I'm going in as the Queen of Wands. I'm open to be social. Wands are very engaging and social and fiery. So I'm going in, okay. So for an example, Nicole, so yesterday I drove out of town because I know the owners of this pedicure salon, this manicure pedicure salon, and they're like uber clean. That's important to me. So I travel an hour and 15 minutes to go get my pedicures because it's like circulatory and it's a spa thing. And it's not just a pedicure. It's like, oh my God, that kind of a thing. So when I walk in, I'm a girl that has hair jewelry. So I have this like wild kind of hairpiece on, the clip-on hair. And I walk in and this woman, she looks at me and she just blurts out, she's drying her toes. There's like 50 people in the place. I've come out of the woods and I've driven into the pedicure. I know the owners. Hi, me. And I walk in, this woman goes, I love your hair. She hollers it. She goes, I love your hair. And so I decide to become the court jester. She thinks it's my hair. Oh, I love that style. Oh, I wish my hair would do that. And I walk over to her and I lean down and I unclip the hairpiece. And my hair falls down and I look at her and I go, you too can have this hair. And she goes, no way. Like, way. And I said, and it's synthetic hair and you can go to Amazon or wherever you want to and you can she goes, oh my God, I'm getting my phone. I can't believe it. And she had nice hair. She goes, I can't believe it. I said, oh, I have a whole wardrobe of them. I said, I never have a bad hair day. It can be raining. It can be snowing. And I said, I've got longer than shoulder length hair. I've got good hair. I mean, I go to a hairdresser and have it frosted and lit up and illuminated. I have lion hair. I've got the lion cut, but I put it up into a French twist. And this is synthetic hair, so don't get near cigarettes or candles or a campfire and back your hairpiece into it. So it's going to go poof, just like the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. It's synthetic hair. You don't have to roll it. You don't have to curl it. It's just hair. I call it hair you wear, hair to go. And she said, I can't believe you showed me that. That's so wonderful. I mean, she goes, it matches so perfect. I said, can I tell you, can you only imagine my hairstylist face when I walk in with this bag of hair? They better have a sense of it. Because I walk in and I go, I brought my hair children. Here they are. So some are sandy blonde and some are platinum with dark blonde and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, see that base color of my hair? I want 3 colors put into my hair. And those 3 colors are those 10 hair pieces that I have. But I brought the spirit of play. The woman, Nicole, the woman was thrilled. Oh, the other women, you had some bougie women and like, oh my God, I can't believe she admitted that she's wearing a hair. You could just see it on their face. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I wouldn't have shown it. And then there were like these elderly women that busted out laughing, going, you just unclipped that thing and your hair just fell down and your hair is as pretty as that hairpiece. I said, it ain't about that. It's about hair to wear. So I said, it's like putting on jeans or putting on a tank top. And so anyway, she got on her phone. She pulled up Amazon. I showed her how to do it. I showed her how to match her hair color. And I said, you can get 3 of these things for like $30. I mean, it's really affordable. And she's like, oh, look what you pay at the hairstylist. And she just went out the door going, I am so happy. And I thought, and I sat to myself and my guide said, well done. Well done. So
it can happen. The hair angel.
Yeah. Thank you for the artistic hair.
Yeah.
But it can come in fast and furious that you can have a playful moment.
Yes, of course. And that's the whole part. It's like, why take yourself so seriously? Like, even when, there's always going to be people like those women who were just like, pearl clutchers who are just, like, yes. How could she?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's called confidence, self-confidence, bitches.
Yes.
And it's also called, I don't mind sharing to uplift another person. I'm not the one that invented it.
No, yeah.
But I'm the one that's playing
there's
with
like
it.
a lot of women who do that. So, Okay, should we get into the signs? Because I think it's
Okay.
time to go
Sure.
sign by sign and let everyone know how this full moon's going to be affecting them.
So first and foremost, happy birthday, Geminis. You and Sagittarius are certainly, those of you late May and early June, Geminis, and Sagittarius is born in that early part of December. This is a significant full moon for you. And the significance of it, like next month, it'll be Cancer Capricorn for those of you in the audience and live chat listening. So when it's in Gemini Sag, and you have a strong signature of Gemini or Sagittarius in your chart or both, it's going to light up the mutable signs this full moon. So I talked earlier about a T-square hitting Taurus and Aquarius and Scorpio and Leo when we got to that between the June 6th and June 9th. But this full moon is particularly calling out for mystery, adventure, and resolution to things that have been making you lose your sleep or stealing your peace if you're a Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, or Pisces. So these tend to be the overthinkers. These tend to be the Sagittarians and the Pisces want to run away, run away, run away. I don't want to deal with the stress. Let me go to sleep, or let me go out in the woods, or let me go to the beach. I don't want to deal with you. I'm gonna turn my phone on silent. So this particular full moon dynamic of Gemini Sagittarius is saying, not a good idea to turn away from the significant sacred downloads of information that could be coming through to stimulate your chakras and psychologically help you purge the stuff that makes you want to run away in the first place. So I see it as a very inspiring, intuitive, to Nicole's words earlier. It's very intuitive. So our intuitive antennas are going to be hoisted up on full power anyway. So maybe those of you that like to know how to take notes on your phones or grab a little free notepad or go to the Dollar Tree. I ride around with a little notepad and a pen all the time in my car, in my tote, and, because I jot down, ooh, that's good, and I write that down. So, and it can reinvigorate you later on if you look at it before you go to sleep or the next morning with your coffee or your tea. So Gemini and Sagittarius, it's most significant for you. And for Gemini, it's lighting up your significant other. I call them our so's. Who's the so's in your life? So who is it? Your significant other. So that's like your BFF, or that's like the kid that's got the issues you're dealing with right now, or the parent that's all bougie about something. I mean, it's not just the person that you're laying down to be a lover with. Our significant others are the people that are taking up significant energetic space in our thoughts, in our moods, the friend that needs us, or where we want to be away from people for a while. I mean, who is it that is significant right now as far as your soul star and your mental improvement lessons? That's all around Gemini right now. And I would say probably this full moon is going to bring up front, close and into the center for you Geminis, what it is you need to be working on with the significant players in your life. And at the same time, because it's a full moon in Sagittarius, you're going to want to go have a little mini getaway, or get away with that partner maybe, or it's the time to do the vacation with the kids or the grandkids, or you just got to get away yourself and you're involving significant other people to watch your house or your dogs, or take your place at work, you get some time off from work. So there's a lot of mind crunching and decision making going on with Geminis about planning how they can spend time with other people that matter to them besides all the whirling dervish projects they've always got going on around them. Geminis overbook their schedules all the time. I mean, they cram as much that can go into a day as possible. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do that. That would just skits me out. If you're a Sagittarius, it's your signature full moon of the year. And the Sagittarius part of our chart is where we get spiritually inspired, where we are able to think out of the box and be able to seize, the carpe diem, seize the day, and embrace the options and the opportunities to not just be living in 3D, third dimensional, financial, society, cultural, racial, political, to get out of all that. Yep, all that's going on, but you kind of rise above it and know that it's going on and say, and where can I be charitable, and where can I to thine own self be true, and where can I restore my energy? And with Sagittarius, it's always about if there is a cause that I want to embrace, why and where. And they will go participate. So I think you Sagittarians or Sagittarius risings, or certainly Sagittarian moons, are getting some new inspirational marching orders or some new graduation gifts of soul and mind and spirit. It's like, where does your spirit want to participate? If you're a Cancer, a Cancer Capricorn, right now, Gemini is the sign before Cancer. So all of you that have a birthday in the zodiac sign of Cancer Moonchild, the crab, this is your embryonic time. This is your time to restore. This is your time to kind of step back a little bit. It's not your time for the limelight. That starts on summer solstice. And this full moon then is going to be in your 6th house, and it has a lot to do with taking care of the dental cleaning and the hair conditioning and maybe cleaning up the car or the house. It has to do with maintenance on what frees up your energy. Where have you gotten tangled up in a cobweb of choice or consciousness? So for Cancerians, it's about stop whining and complaining and being a victim, or focusing on the villain and take back your power. And if you're Capricorn, this full moon occurs in your most psychic. It's your most psychic full moon. So the things you're sensing around your parents, or the things that you're not worry, but the things that you're beginning to say, I need to spend more time with that person, or I need to just spend time with my cat this weekend, or I need to go out on the boat this weekend. So it's about, both for Cancer and Capricorn, it's about how well are you doing the maintenance, the self-maintenance and the self-nurturing on your own being, on your own person, on your own energy frequencies. It's about give to you if you're Cancer Capricorn. If you're Leo, it's 5th house. So because the fire signs are involved in the best part of this, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. So if you're Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, it's a little more intense for you if you're Sagittarius. But with Leo, it's about, flirt with life, let life flirt with you, buy yourself a hairpiece, laugh, if someone admires your nails and you go, look, you too can have them, and peel them off on their artificial nails, kind of a thing. It's like lighten up. It's like Nicole's platform, enlighten up, so, kindness and humor are really superpowers. They really are, to be able to lighten up the moment and be able to bring laughter, respectful laughter, or respectful, like, teasing someone in a way that if they've been kind of down, you bring them back up. So that's Leo. You can really get a message across with powerful delivery. Like you lock your eyes after you got them very comfortable and complimented them sincerely, not fake stuff, not silver-tongued devil stuff, but a very sincere, like, you're really strong in this area, and I just want you to know I admire you. Leo will tell you where they admire you, where they respect what you've gone through, and that's kind of what I'm asking you Leos to do. Who is it that you could give encouraging words? Gemini being about the words, Sagittarius being about liberating where we've been stuck in a myriad of quicksand, emotionally or psychologically. And Aquarius, it's the 11th house. And so Aquarians are really busy right now, micromanaging other people's weddings, graduations, attending to this, the school dance, or Aquarians are just like really busy, wanting to be a part of helping other people have those life-enhancing moments. A lot of Aquarians are event planners. It's incredible how an Aquarius can just like create that unique excursion or seminar, or like the wedding that I've been to a lot of weddings, but that one, and it isn't about a lot of money. Aquarians have the ability to really give that avant-garde moment to where it's like, wow, who would have thought about, a whole bunch of butterflies being released, so they come up with really that's Aquarius, is unique and out of the box type of stuff. It's just amazing what Aquarians can come up with. And I feel like Aquarians, they need to decompress with people that they trust and the people that they let get close to them. Aquarians can detach, and they don't let people get in easy into their emotional orbits. They just don't. They just don't. Aquarians can be like kind of detached, like Elon Musk in his personality, kind of like, he's a Cancer, I think. But Aquarians have that ability just to like, here today, gone tomorrow. But oh, by the way, even though I'm busy, you matter to me. And they'll come right in with that. You matter to me, and thank you for who you are. And you might not hear from them again for 6 months or a year, but They really mean it. That's just how the profile of Aquarius goes. And if you're a Virgo, one of the other signs really affected by this, it's fourth house. So it's real estate stuff. Who's mowing your yard? How's the plumbing going? You want to sell the house? You want to move? You want to relocate? Is someone moving in? Is someone moving out? It's just like for Virgos right now, it's like, I just want my home life peaceful. I don't want to have to deal with any of this convoluted stuff. I want the servicemen to show up. I want the deck to be replaced. I want the painters to show up on time, whatever it is. So Virgos have got this. Virgos are saying that they really want to get all this stuff off their plate so they can plan a Sagittarius fun adventure. So it's family and it's home and it's property and it's your possessions and it's what you want to liquidate before you can even decide what you want to invest in. And if you're Pisces, it's 10th house. So this is where you're going to see the therapist or the doctor, or you're getting the medical test, or you're going to the health food store, and you're like really dynamically wanting to deal with how to shift something big in your life, something that's been some kind of an ongoing issue. You Pisces out there are finally saying, I need more information. Gemini and Sag are information gathering, and knowledge is power. So that's why Gemini and Sag are always looking to learn or to teach. Tell me a good story. Tell me how you survived that. It's like the show Survivor. We watch that stuff because it's like, how did they do that? How did they come up with that? So for Pisces right now, they have to get out of their heads and they have to get out of their fear, and they need to go gather up some more information, because truly for you Pisces, knowledge is power. If you're Libra, it's a third house full moon lighting. I like the energy of Libra and Sagittarius. I like all the Taurus stuff going on for Libra. I like how things are bouncing into their other brother air signs, like Mercury's there in Gemini on the 10th, 11th of June, and you've got this energy lightening up with the Sun in Gemini, the Leo factors of Mars and Venus in Leo, bounce, from June 5th onwards. So I like that. And so I think with Libra, they can just enjoy the nuance of the get together. They love the conversations that are the best part of this life and the best part of this world. So it's the museum that you go to, or it's the art, the sidewalk art show, or Shakespeare in the park, or the musical concert that you want to go to, and the coffee and breakfast afterwards at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that's like air sign kind of stuff. So with Libra, they're seeking to have what needs to be in writing, Libra. Like, stop putting that off. Like if the person that said they're going to buy your motorcycle, or they said they're going to come buy the boat, get the deal in writing. Like, get it in writing. No, Mercury's not retrograde right now, but we're still in a Gemini dynamic Mercury cycle. So just do it the smart way the first time. Do it right the first time, then you don't have the complications because you were all Libra, sugary, sweet, and say, all right, I'll go ahead and give you the money and I'll let you get back to me tomorrow. Yeah, no, get it in writing. Say what the deposit will be, blah, 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 and what are the parameters around it. If you're in Aries, it's 9th house. Aries, they're a little frustrated right now. The Leo adds to their impatience. The Gemini adds to their ability to want to think outside the box, break the rules, not have to show up and do the TikTok schedule from 8 in the morning to 5, 8 to 5, or the graveyard shift of midnight to 7 in the morning. Aries are kind of surly about that right now. They don't want demands on them. They really just want to be that little bratty inner child, spoiled child that they like to be, that they don't feel like is happening enough for them. So they want to travel. They want to reconnect. They want new contracts. They're in this agree to disagree, or agree or disagree type of dynamic that they're going to break themselves free from, but they can't until they look at the written of the spoken word. That's the Gemini Sagittarius dynamic. And then finally, the signs that were the stars last couple of months. If you're a Scorpio, the Sagittarius full moon is about you looking at what now is abundant, what now is substantial, what now is valuable to you, because it has to do with what we prioritize as worth it or valuable. So Scorpios are reassessing who gets my time. My time is more precious than money. How am I spending my time? Spending, investing my time? How am I, am I debit or credit status right now, emotionally, psychologically, financially? So Sagittarius is about, look at your money management and then look at how you're managing your time. And maybe you need to cut back over here and invest more over here. So that's the lessons surrounding the Scorpio dynamic. And finally, if you're a Taurus, it's an 8th house type of thing. And so it's very, very psychic for Sagittarians. The Sagittarian moon is very uplifting. It's very intuitive. It gives us otherworldly tools and discernment. Before we speak, take the pause before you commit. But for Taurus, it's 8th house. So I see some new inspirational, creative sensuality coming around Taurus, not only maybe some options that they'd never really considered themselves, like, yeah, I think I'd like to take that dive, or I think I'd like to try that or touch in on that, or I never really considered that before. So Taurus are looking for tactile, reliable ways that they say, that touched me, that really got my attention, that shifted me. And I'm not just talking about another human creature. There's some type of deeper, richer, notice the words I'm using, richer investment of an experience that will touch the senses and create sensations. Taurus, the Venus ruled signs of Taurus and Libra, when it touches them personally, when it invokes their senses, then it becomes a sensational, like they really went and lived in that place. They really went into that theater of passion and pursuit and pleasure, even if it's homemade macaroni and cheese or twice baked potatoes. With Taurus, it's about, that's tactile, that touched me, I felt that. So if you're dealing with a Taurus or you're dealing with a Cancer, you've got it's the mood of the moment and how it can bloom and really become a memory in the making, because it actually engaged them on an intrinsic, intuitive, childlike level of depth. Like the experience has layers. Does that make sense, Nicole? It has layers.
Oh, yes. As a Taurus sun and a Cancer rising. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I agree with Nicole. The moon in and of itself, if you didn't know anything about your personal astrological chart, and I do hope for your sake you change that and get with an astrologer. Stop trying to figure it all out yourself. I mean, let your early learning experiences with astrology be with someone that's traveled that road before you. It just makes it much more entertaining and viable if someone that's done all that grunt work. Good God Almighty, is there a lot of work in astrology? It's different when you're getting an oracle or a tarot reading. That's like really like, yippee! But the astrology stuff, there's so many moving parts and components and analysis that has to happen for you to be able to open your mouth and give the words of any kind of possibility and opportunity that's coming towards you because of how the planets are aligned. It's a map, and you've got to help people see what is ahead on the journey, as well as orbiting around them right now that they might miss. So that's why we try to take these heavenly signs and bring them down to earth for you. And so when Nicole and I say, get into your spirit of play, get into allowing yourself encouraging words, and those might be the videos and YouTubes and podcasts and things that you say, you know what, I woke up feeling pretty crappy and down on myself today, and then I heard Nicole, and then I did this, and I felt the light inside me come on. I felt the light switch kick on. So not only have we done our job, but now you're more empowered, energized, electrified, and since your mind is your magnet, and that's the Gemini, now you're able to go out there with the great attractor factor and be able to manifest, uplift others, and also be good to your own self. It's graduation. Gemini is graduation. So gradually allow yourself to embrace the light.
I love that. It's, you got some big changes coming up on the horizon that you're being asked to see the bigger picture on. And I really do feel like, again, for some of you, this is going to be very deeply spiritual. For some of you, this is more about play and fun and lightening up. For others of you, this is about really learning something, like really taking something to the next level. through that kind of wisdom and teacher element that Sagittarius brings in through Jupiter. And at the end of the day, though, this is like expansion, change, and be aware of what you're creating with your words, with your sounds, like what frequency are you bringing in? And
Yes.
I think this is going to be a great illuminating full moon. You got to trust your intuition. This is not the moon to doubt your intuition. All things are, I really think many of you are going to receive some downloads, some aha moments, some great enlightenment or illumination, and pay attention to that. It's big. It's
Music,
coming at that
right
great
now.
attractor.
Yeah, music right. Yes, the great attractor, the magnet of the mind. Look at how we're talking about that. What are you plugging into? What are you the outlet for? So the great attractor is manifesting through dream images with the Saturn and Neptune factors getting ready to retrograde. Pisces is all about the oceans of emotion. We're going to have Venus soon switching into, Mercury goes into the oceanic sign of Cancer on June 26th. And so we've got the June 15th, Saturn and Mercury square off with each other. If I had to pick a day of this month that you might want to consider pausing, you might want to consider not overbooking, I would say it would be that June 15th when Mercury in Gemini squares off with Saturn in Pisces, because it's right after that Saturn retrogrades in Pisces on the 17th. And so I feel like that, and then Mercury is going to retrograde on June 30th. So those are both Piscean planets that are saying, okay, time for a little bit of a reality bite.
Whoa. Do we have another Mercury retrograde coming up at the end of the month?
It's Neptune and Saturn.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I thought you said Mercury. Yes. Neptune's retrograde.
No. Yeah. Mercury is going to square.
Yes.
On the 15th.
Okay.
Mercury's
okay.
going to
I was
square.
like, hold on a second. We just finished.
Right. Yeah. No, Mercury's going to square with Saturn on the 15th of June. And then on the 18th, because we've got these mutable signs dancing now. I mean, Saturn and Neptune have been transiting Pisces, but now that we have our first mutable sign of 2023, we started with Aries, then we have Taurus. Now we're in our first mutable sign.
Yeah.
So on June 18th, we're going to have the Sun in the mutable air sign of Gemini squaring off with Neptune. Don't tell me what to do. I need to escape. That's too much pressure for me. In the oceanic sign of Pisces. So how does the rubber meet the road, so to speak? How is your mind really paying attention to what your soul needs are? Don't play the victim. And for God's sakes, don't be the biting villain on the 15th or the 18th of June. And if the potential of that is around you in public places, be very aware of your circumstances. Listen to your intuition, the intuitive arrows, like Nicole and I have been talking about. And if it walks like a duck and it clucks like a duck and you got a bad vibe on it and you don't like the way that stranger is staring at you, stranger, danger, stranger, then get out of the situation. Don't wait and test the waters. Don't wait and wait for the Piscean riptide to take you underneath. If something goes wonky or sideways between June 15th and June 18th, it just means, and I'm telling you this in advance, Nicole and I are giving you this very valuable information in advance. So if it starts to go sideways or weird, it doesn't mean it's a definite no. It means that there's more things that you need to know, KNOW. So that's the time of the month that I would say, get your ducks in a row, make sure you've got the I's dotted and the T's crossed. And if there's something that seems to be a missing component, take care of it. Yeah. Take care of it. That's not the day. Yeah. That 3-day time is not the time to ignore business.
And I would also say to everyone in the audience, I do deeply feel like many of you, if you're in your full moon ritual, you're tuning into the moon's energies and you're open, your heart's open, your mind's open, your chakras, your receptor, all your receptors are open. I do believe that if you have been mystified over something that you've been needing clarification or answers on, that does seem bigger than a lot of other things in your life, I do feel like you're going to get some sort of download or message or something that's going to help guide you, give you the information you need to just get a little bit, just the right enough amount of clarity to move forward or to trust your gut. So keep your heart open for that and your mind. I think that that's going to be powerful. So, Mary, let everyone know.
Yeah, get out there and play.
Yeah, get out there and play. Get out there and play. So let everyone know, Mary. Do you have anything going on for the month of June?
I'm always busy. My next new moon show will be on the 18th over at the podcast of lighting the void.com. I do the new moon shows over there with the network host Joe Roop. So if you want some new moons are about what we initiate, full moons are about what we resolve and we can rise up and learn from. So it's okay if you get moody or more emotional, you know. So it's a really good time when you've got less celestial frequencies kind of keeping your nose to the grindstone to do with managing and micromanaging your life and your key relationships. It's a great time for you guys to get readings. It's a great time for you to, you know, go hear that lecture or get yourself that other book or go invest in a reading or do some Reiki or do some yoga or, you know, go get the pedicure, you know, with Saturn and Neptune turning retrograde in Pisces. It's a good time for you to gain who inspires you, you know, who is that life teacher or that soul coach or that astrologer or that therapist or whatever, the hypnotist, what words from them could then create a theater of inspiration and get your thinking, if it's gotten stagnant, you know, get your philosophical inspiration mojo back going. This is a great time to do that, especially as we come into solstice, because with the Gemini Sagittarius, one of the best landscapes, outdoor things you can do is a campfire, a ceremonial fire, because Sagittarius is fire and fires can't exist and continue to burn without oxygen, without the air. And that's the Gemini. So, you know, I look forward this time every year in the Smoky Mountains to the lightning bugs coming out, you know, the little fireflies and the lightning bugs and the dragonflies are out now, and all the different species of butterflies are just beginning to emerge. The hummingbirds are back. So I'm looking at, from the medicine wheel standpoint, I'm looking at the creatures of the air, the creatures that fly and hover. So I'm looking at the songbirds, and I enjoy the hummingbird coming close to me when I mess with its feeder to give it more nourishment. And the dragonflies, you're watering the flowers and your herbs, and all of a sudden the dragonfly lands right on the end of your hose. I'm like, hi, buddy, thanks for the totem message. And you start looking this up. Gemini is also about researching deeper meaning. So I mentioned that constellation of Rigel for Gemini and the constellation of Orion. Go and look up what's the myth and the legend of Orion, and what's the stars and the constellations in the sign of Gemini. And why does Sagittarius have a half man, half horse as its symbol? Go look up the centaurs. It just gives you a rounded out creative canopy of thought procedure rather than just the internet and the news and the fear thing, arrows that they're throwing out there. You know, disengage from that and go outside and look at nature's oracle. You know, what songbird does she show up for you? You know, I've got geese having baby geese, and they come and I feed them every day sunflower seeds. So I literally have my mother nature totems coming to me to bless me. And yes, I'm giving to them. Kindness is a superpower. Tithing and being generous takes many forms. Yes, I'm the one going out and buying the black oil sunflower seed, but I am blessing their life because I'm Mother Goose. I'm feeding them. So I'm literally creating my fairy tale. I'm literally creating a living oracle tarot. I mean, somebody passed them by, but look at that blonde woman up there feeding all them. There's 22 geese on that driveway, and they're fighting with her. They got babies, and she's out there feeding them. So I become an oracle visual for somebody. But I don't care about that. What I care about is that nature brought me the geese. They trusted me with their 3-day-old baby goslings. And I'm going to give back to them for how they give back to my earth mother. That's my biological mother. It's a circle. It's a never-ending circle of life. And so if nature chooses me, because my guides, my heavenly guides, and Mother Nature trust my continence and my intuitiveness and my ability to be a mountain mystic, make no mistake, I am. And the fact that I got my Halloween birthday, make no mistake, it's mystical and magical and has a lot of responsibility to it. I have to respond in kind if Mother Nature comes to ask me to assist her with some of her other Earth citizens. And since I love nature, and nature is my spirit of play, and it's one of my decompressing theaters, then I know as I give that I'm blessed and I'm healed because I gave.
Yeah.
I gave. And I happily give.
And just on a final note here, just to kind of touch on that circle of life, everyone, that circle of life is telling you that everything's infinite and everything's constantly going in a cycle, like just like our moon.
Yep.
And there's big change ahead of you. And it's time to make some big change.
Yes.
Now, where that is, you're going to know because you know your life better than anyone, but prepare for that. Prepare for the big change. And it's really related to taking you in a new direction, a direction that you're not used to going, but it's going to expand you. You're going to learn a lot. And I think there's this moon is very special. So thank you so much, Mary, for coming on the show again. For all of you who'd like to get an astrological reading from her, all of her information is going to be in the show notes before. Of course, you can visit her website, marydusina.com. And of course, don't forget that if you're interested in having a reading or a coaching session or even just inner child healing, you can do that through my website on the service page, NicoleFrolick.com. And don't forget the Forbidden Journey Retreat is happening this September 28th through October 1st in Breckenridge, Colorado. I'd love to have you there. If you're interested, I will leave the links in the show notes as well for you to explore. And of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me and ask. Mary, I love you so much. Thanks for coming on the show. And I guess we'll see you next month for that full moon in Capricorn.
We will, and we'll have the summer solstice that comes up. So, like you went back to all the way to the beginning of the show, with the biblical thing, with words, the first casting of words, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Happy summer solstice. Bless you all. Let there be light.
Beautiful. Love you guys. We'll see you next month. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.